Okay, well, first, thank you for the opportunity to share with everyone where we are with our Kent County Middle School project. And I'd like to start off first and foremost by thanking our delegation in Annapolis for bringing forward legislation to help us with construction funding. So I greatly appreciate, Delegate Grice for proposing our legislation, and Delegate Jacobs and Arntz and Senator Hershey. So we could not move forward without their support. So it's critical that everyone understand their important role in this process. So we, as you may know, are in the process of striving to build a brand new middle school replacement building for our current middle school. We did a feasibility study a few years back, and the feasibility study indicated that the state of our current middle school building is in such a state that it's not financially worth repairing or renovating it, and that it really yields the need to build a new replacement building. Along with that feasibility study, it was determined that the location would be in our current middle school campus, so it would remain here in Chestertown, which I understood the community was very committed to ensuring that our middle school remained part of our community in town, which I think is exciting. We are actively in the process. The funds were passed last year to design a new middle school. So we are actively in the process of working with architects to design a state-of-the-art middle school. Our middle school would also expand and actually return to a model we had here in Kent County where fifth graders would be part of our middle school. So it would be grades 5, 6, 7, and 8 would be in the new facility, which of course also opens up our elementary space to continue to expand early childhood programming. What's important to understand about our middle school is I know so many people in our community attended that building rather as a high school. It was originally a high school here in Chestertown, and then it was moved over to serve as a middle school at some point. The building itself was originally opened in 1949. So it's 76 years old, roughly, and the last full renovation was done in 1976. And so that right there, it's been almost 50 years since we've had a full renovation. And our building is showing its age and wear and tear. So for example, many people may not realize that we have already spent $129,000 in the last 19 months in building repairs, just to keep the building working for our students. So some of those repairs involved roofing replacements. We had some leakage going on, so we had to do roof repairs. We had to repair the HVAC system. We had to also repair the building automation system, which kind of works hand in hand with the HVAC system. And then most recently this year, we've encountered a lot of sewer problems. Our infrastructure is from 1949. And so we've already, unfortunately this year, had to close school 3 days to repair things. And I'm grateful for the Chestertown mayor and his team helped us with our most recent repair to the water main break. I do know that the town came to our rescue, for which we are greatly appreciative because we were able to get kids back in school the next day. So our funding challenge is that there is a formula that is used at the state level to determine how much of a school construction project is funded by the state and how much is funded by your local county or local share. For us in Kent County, the formula indicates that the state will cover 50% of construction, and then therefore the locals have to cover the other 50%. Our particular challenge here in Kent County is, as everyone knows, we are small in population. We have approximately 19,000 residents. When you take the 1,700 students out of that equation, we're really talking about, 17,000 and some people to cover the cost of 50%. And so because we fundamentally lack the economy of scale, when you're distributing that cost out over 17,000+ people, some of whom may not actually own property, some of whom are renting and may not be paying taxes, some of whom have different financial situations, it's really challenging for us to cover that 50%. And so to that effect, we are working with our delegation to request additional state funding to build our middle school. So the whole project is total cost is $65.6 million. Our county has committed $28.9 million towards that project because that's what our county can afford to contribute. And so the state, under the 50-50 formula, is scheduled to provide us $29.9. If you're doing the math, that may seem a little off because we qualify for a couple bump ups. So we qualify for, we're designing with the architects to be net zero in terms of energy efficiency. That gives us a 5% increase at the state. We also have, sadly, our concentration of poverty at all of our schools is so high that we qualify for an additional 5% bump up. And so we are reaching for every avenue to take advantage of additional funding that we can for this construction project. Bottom line is we are $8.8 million short, and that's the amount that we're requesting the state increase funding for. So we're in the process. Our delegates had submitted legislation requesting additional funding, which would modify the formula, as I was explaining. And we just had the hearing at the House Appropriations Committee last week. It was last week. And so I'm pleased to say that myself, one of our board members, Laura McKenzie, was available that day to testify in person. We had parent testify, and of course our delegates. And then we had, actually we had 3 parents testify. We had our student member of the board also testified, and we ran a campaign, and we had over 550 letters that were submitted, a writing campaign submitted in support of this. So we took all of that to the House Appropriation Committees last week, and we're waiting to hear what the next step is from the House side. I'm pleased to say that Senator Hershey also cross-filed our legislation in the Senate, and so we'll be going to their hearing for budget and taxation, the Senate's Committee on Budget and Taxation, on March 4th. And so next week we will be pushing out another letter writing campaign to make sure that everyone's aware and advocating at the Senate level. And so it's too soon to tell where this will exactly go, but I'm hopeful, I remain hopeful. I know that there's plenty of elected officials who have indicated that they understand that we have a legitimate need and that perhaps the formula is not a fair formula for our particular context. I will also say, and Delegate Grice did a fantastic job of this, pointing out that what we're requesting is not setting a precedent, that precedent has already been set by one of our Western Maryland counties, which also is very similar to us in that, you know, they struggle with an economy of scale to bring forward what this formula proposes they can do. And so I am very hopeful that we will somehow leverage the state resources to fill that gap so we can move forward. The good news is, assuming that we can close that gap of $8.8 million, construction would start this time next year. So in just 12 months, we would be breaking ground. And the project is estimated to take 18 months to build. And so assuming everything moves on schedule, our students would be occupying a brand new building in August of 2027 or September of 2027. So it's really not that far away, assuming that we can get the funds. It's so important for our middle school project to come into reality because not just do our students deserve this, but what we know is that in order to have high performance at our high school, we need to have a strong, robust middle school experience. I also absolutely believe it will help begin to turn around our declining enrollment. What I have experienced in other school systems, and I've worked in 3 other school systems in the state, is when a new facility is built, enrollment increases. People will choose to try the new building because it says that we are vibrant and we are moving forward and we are investing in our community. And so I absolutely believe this project is not just fundamentally important for our children, which I think it is. I think it's vital for our community as a whole. It sends a message economically and socially that we are not staying still, that we are moving forward and we're actively building and choosing to build the future of our community. I also think it's really important to understand that this middle school cannot happen without our local partners. And I personally want to thank Commissioner Nickerson for going over with me to Annapolis. I know our other two commissioners are as deeply invested. However, there was a scheduling conflict. They had a regularly scheduled meeting. And I want to thank Ms. Heller because she's been a fantastic partner for me as I have come on board here in the county. And I know that they are as committed and invested in ensuring that our middle school project gets off the ground. And so I just want to make sure that everyone understands we are working hand in hand for the good of the community.